The arid lands of Tanzania looks like massive desert on either side of the road. We are off to our next destination from Arusha, and all through this desert region all that we see is Maasais walking around looking for water and grazing their herd of sheep or goat. We are off to our first national park in the itinerary, and even before we could enter the park, there are elephants welcoming us right at the gate. For a moment, I think these are sculptures, but only to realize these are actual elephants standing right at the gate, even when hundreds of tourists are at the booking office to get ticket entry into the national park. And such is the wildlife expectation you can carry while you are in Tanzania. This national park is also the place where I had introduction to many of my first sightings, wildlife sightings, and my curiosity was no bound. Hi, you're watching Masala Box and I'm Chitra taking you to Tarangire National Park. Tarangire National Park is the home to BaoBab trees. These trees are unique in nature. They have massive trunk which are massive because they hold a lot of water content and are fibrous. So especially when there is lack of water or in summers, elephants rip apart these trunks which makes them nice, juicy, munchy food for them because they get their water content filled as well as your regular food. Look at this tree. Because the smaller animals cannot reach to the top, they have all nibbled on the lower part of the tree. This national park is the only place I got to see this tree. So this was a unique sighting. These beautiful woven nests are from a bird called Kilia Kilia. The birds are chirpy and these nests form a unique picturesque addition to the wildlife scenery that this national park carries. But for some reason these birds are addressed as pests in the national park. The grass is so short in this arid land that the boar has to kneel in order to pluck out the grass and eat. I have always been a fan of hornbills. They mate for life, and every time I visit a national park, I keep looking out for them. And here is one unique red-billed hornbill. And as you can see here, they are eating out of the waste of another animal. So nothing goes as such as waste in a jungle. This kingfisher is something you can sight in India as well. It's called a stockbill kingfisher, but we call it as also lipstick kingfisher because of its unique beak. Tarangire National Park is truly called the Park of Elephants. I have never seen so many elephants even in Serengeti, but in Tarangire, every turn you get to see massive elephants, like these male bulls that stay individual once they are matured enough to be chucked out of the herd, or you would see a whole herd headed by a matriarch, or a juvenile which is just out and looking so confused. This park is best known for its elephants, if you ask me. Look at this herd. It's a bunch of tired elephants, and one of it has given up and it has laid down royally to have an afternoon siesta, whereas the rest are having a slight watch as well as closing their eyes and sleeping in a standing posture. while they are cooling themselves by flapping their ears and bringing down their body temperature. This was my first sighting of baboons in the wild as well. Baboons are slightly different from monkeys. Monkeys, you would see them swaying from one tree to another, but baboons you would see mostly in the land, picking out grass from the land and eating, and quite large in size. I saw this cute encounter of the young baboon with its mom and dad. They do share all the emotions like we do, right? At a distance, I saw this lioness resting. Only the body was seen. You can still see the body of the lioness. And this elephant was approaching that lioness. As in, it was walking towards its path, and we were expecting something dramatic to happen. It didn't, though. Zebras are quite beautiful too, especially their eyes. But what we saw next was something really curious. They got into a fight, and it was a furious fight among these zebras. And you know how the donkeys kick? Just like that, the zebras gave one hard kick. At lunchtime, we sat at the picnic table with our packed lunches. We had planned a trip with Lifestyle Holidays, and they had helped us with the lunch for the day. From the picnic spot, you can see the Tarangire River. So this is the river that is cutting across a national park, and hence the national park gets its name, Tarangire. And from a distance, from this viewpoint, you can actually see some wildebeest coming down for a sip of water, some vultures sitting around to have some sip of water, and eventually we will be driving down to this spot to spot these animals and drive around this river. Right now, you see it is quite dry, but the path or course of the river is quite huge. And then we come across the hero of our trip, Wildebeest. You might be surprised that I'm not talking about lion or tiger, but I'm so fascinated by wildebeest because I've come to Tanzania to see especially the great migration of wildebeest. That's been my in the bucket list for long, and I was so happy to see. But this is a trait of the wildebeest. They will always be walking one behind the another blindly. Just leave the one in the front. This is another massive unique bird we came across. It is known as secretary bird, especially because if you look at her head, it has quills that a secretary uses to write, something similar it has on its head. So apparently that's why it's called as a secretary bird. These are huge and so majestic when they are walking around, like a huge eagle or a vulture is sitting down and walking around the place. That's how they look. I also understand they too mate for life. I'm not sure what exactly the car in front of us did, but suddenly these elephants, they were worried, or they were scared of the surroundings. You can see how pointed the tail of that elephant is. So they all the elephant herds around gathered together, and they protected the young ones. All the young ones were assembled in the middle, and the other matriarch and other elder elephants were protecting them. And I could hear them rumbling. It was just like a scene out of this book called Elephant Whisperers that I'm a big fan of, and absolutely out of Nat Geo kind of a scene. Have you come across a story of how ostriches choose their pair? The female makes the male ostrich run uh, wild, and whichever male runs the fastest, that is how it chooses their mate. And there is one queen ostrich, and you really have to read the story of how they uh, protect their eggs. It's one wild story of ostrich. So what we're seeing is how the ostrich is doing a mud bath or a dust bath to keep its feather nice, light and airy. Some more wildebeest with vultures at a distance. This was Tarangire National Park for us. We also got to spot a leopard on tree, but it was quite far and hidden. My camera couldn't do justice to that. Needless to say, this was our first national park in the itinerary, and I was very happy with all the sightings that we got to do. Um, Keep following the channel for more content coming from Tanzania, especially covering the national parks as well as great migration. Do like, share, and subscribe to Masala Box Travel.